Welcome to this short presentation introducing you to the capabilities of the virtual classroom. I'm Clive Shepherd, and it's my responsibility to be your guide today. Virtual classrooms provide you with the capability to incorporate live online events within your training programs, events that with the aid of the latest web conferencing technologies provide many of the benefits of the face-to-face classroom. In this session, you'll find out just what's possible to achieve with virtual classrooms and how your organisation could benefit as a result. Here's what we'll be covering. We'll start off by exploring the history of communication from prehistory to the modern day and looking at how the same basic forms of communication are necessary now as then. We'll then go through the most important arguments for live communication online using virtual classrooms, moving on to explore just what's possible using this technology. We'll end by looking at the training available to help classroom trainers to become familiar with web conferencing and enhance their skills in online communication. First, we need to define two rather unfamiliar terms. These terms are important because they describe the two main forms that communication can take. First of all, synchronous communication can be described as real-time communication in which the parties must all participate at the same time. Virtual classrooms are a type of synchronous communication. Asynchronous communication, on the other hand, is communication that's self-paced, meaning that the parties do not have to all participate at the same time. This recording is a form of asynchronous communication because you can view it whenever it suits you. Let's explore how synchronous and asynchronous communication have coexisted through the ages. On the synchronous side, our ancestors would have started out making gestures and grunts, gradually evolving this into speech. Asynchronously, they'd have started with few options, but developed the ability to communicate more permanently using signs and symbols, paintings and inscriptions. Moving forward to the options available post-war through to the 1980s, technology made possible a wide variety of new communication methods. Synchronously, we can now talk with each other at a distance using the telephone and receive broadcast transmissions on our televisions and radios. Asynchronously, we had the post, telex and telegrams, the ability to leave recorded phone messages on tape, books, magazines, newspapers and other printed media, as well as a variety of new recorded media, including vinyl records, tapes and CDs. And finally, as we enter the 21st century, and with the benefit of mobile phones and computers, we see more dramatic changes in the communication media at our disposal. On the synchronous side, we have the ability to talk with each other while on the move. Online, we have chat rooms, instant messaging, the ability to make voice calls using the Voice over Internet protocol, as well as the fully featured capabilities of web conferencing, including virtual classrooms. Asynchronously, there's been similar progress with email, forums and news groups, the World Wide Web, social networking using blogs, wikis and podcasts, as well as the ability to send simple text messages to each other using our mobile phones. So why, throughout history, have we maintained this balance between synchronous and asynchronous communication? Why hasn't one form deposed the other? The answer is that each has its own special characteristics. Synchronous communication is speedy and responsive. It gets things done right away. It's also more conducive to the everyday social interaction that's a vital part of our daily rituals. It also has a more personal touch, particularly when conducted face-to-face. Because asynchronous communication is generally recorded in some way, whether on paper, tape disc or digitally, it lends itself to repeated use. It also provides the receiver with the ability to pace their own reading, watching or listening to suit their own preferences and abilities. Finally, it lends itself to more reflective communication, communication that's considered, drafted and edited before it's delivered. The capabilities of synchronous and asynchronous communication are not just relevant to our everyday work and social activities. They're vital to a well-balanced, blended learning and development program. Let's assume for now that we want to include a synchronous element in a learning and development program. What channels do we have available? Traditionally, of course, we'd communicate face-to-face, whether one-to-one or in groups. More recently, we've been able to communicate at a distance using the telephone, though only by voice. The internet has provided us with a third option, to communicate online using not only voice but all sorts of visual media. So if you're going to communicate synchronously using technologies such as virtual classrooms, why would you do it online? Perhaps the most obvious reason is that it allows geographically dispersed learners to be reached with ease by teachers or trainers, without the need for travel and all manner of related costs. And these events don't have to be as lengthy as their face-to-face equivalents. Typical virtual classroom sessions last for less than an hour. Another benefit is that all is not lost for the learner who misses a session. The whole event can be recorded and played back later. In this way, virtual classrooms can be asynchronous as well as synchronous. And even if distance is not a major issue for your learners, perhaps they all work on a single site, virtual classrooms can provide them with access to trainers and subject experts who are not so close by. Imagine the expense of having a subject expert fly from another part of the world to present to a group of learners. How much easier to ask them to present online at their desks. Thirdly, an interesting side effect of live online communication is that the participants remain relatively, if not completely, anonymous. Barriers of age, race and gender can break down, allowing all parties to participate equally. To make a success of virtual classrooms, you need to engage your learners with challenging interactions and stimulating media. The capabilities of different virtual classroom systems do vary, but you should expect to find many of the following features commonly available. First, you should be able to import and present PowerPoint slides. You'll also need the ability for participants to communicate using text as they would in a chat room. If bandwidth is an issue, you'll need a teleconferencing service that allows communication to take place by voice. You'll also need the ability to have the group interact with questions, polls and surveys. As bandwidth is becoming less of a problem, expect to find the ability to communicate by voice online using Voice over Internet Protocol. Don't forget the participants will need headsets with microphones. For the trainer, or for small numbers of participants, you might also add video capability using webcams. Other possibilities open up, particularly for IT training, by being able to share applications such as Excel spreadsheets, Word documents, or your organization's custom systems. Synchronized surfing allows participants to explore the web as a group, while virtual whiteboards permit them to interact simultaneously in a shared visual space. And although these are more normally associated with asynchronous self-paced learning, you might also want to share flash animations or recorded videos. A virtual classroom is just a medium. What you use it for is up to you. Although your experience of web conferencing may be confined to group events, there's no reason why learners shouldn't meet one-to-one, perhaps to share feedback on an assignment. Of course, it's also possible for trainers to meet with learners one-to-one for coaching or instruction. Small groups may want to use the facility to meet together to work on group projects, or those sessions can also be facilitated by a trainer. And virtual classrooms can also be used to deliver webinars, that's web seminars, to practically any size of group. There are quite a few vendors of web conferencing systems with virtual classroom capabilities. Some of the products you're likely to come across include Citrix, Saba Centra, WebEx, Illuminate, Microsoft Live Meeting, Adobe Connect and AT&T Connect. We're also beginning to see the introduction of open source alternatives such as DimDim. As you'll see from this slide, there have been quite a lot of acquisitions in this market, so the list is likely to change from time to time. Trainers who already have experience of coaching, instructing or presenting face-to-face should not find it that difficult to transfer their skills online. Many organisations provide courses to help trainers develop the confidence they need to make this transition, one example being the Training Foundation. Training is also often provided by the virtual classroom vendors, although the emphasis in this case is more likely to be on mastering the software. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to the possibilities inherent in virtual classrooms. I look forward to attending one of your live online sessions sometime soon.